Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor, DFA family. In September 10, 2025, South Korean President Lee Myung announced the withdrawal of the 700 billion won or 28.7 billion pesos of infrastructure loan to our country, reportedly due to massive corruption. Has the department, DFA, clarified the matter with the South Korean president or government? What loan was being referred to?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, we can recall, Mr. Speaker, that the Department of Finance has categorically denied that there's an existence of a loan between the government of the Philippines and that of South Korea, Mr. Speaker. And in addition to that, Mr. Speaker, the Department of Foreign Affairs discussed this matter with our counterparts in the Korean government. At the sideline, Mr. Speaker, of the United General Assembly of the UN last week in New York, just last week, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, the Foreign Minister Chu Yun met with our Secretary Lazaro and conveyed his regrets over the Facebook post of President Lee Myung. So there was a admission, if we are trying to understand this meeting between Secretary Lazaro and that of her counterpart, conveyed his regrets over this Facebook post by President Lee Myung, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor. Further explaining that the post was not directed at the Philippine situation or the government, according to Minister Chu Yun, Mr. Speaker. The Korean government has reassured us that their government will continue to regard the Philippines as one of its valued partners, and that they will remain firmly committed to the development of our partnership, Mr. Speaker.
Just to be very clear, so the clarification was about that there was no withdrawal of any loan.
The way that I see it, Mr. Speaker, the Department of Foreign Affairs, because I remember this last week, that was 3 weeks ago when the news came out. In fact, it was actually amplified by social media accounts, by bloggers, Mr. Speaker, saying that South Korea was terminating its loan to the Philippines because of the current controversies that we are facing right now. Immediately, the Department of Finance clarified that there is no existing loan to that size and form, as mentioned in the Facebook accounts, Mr. Speaker.
No existing loan, and therefore nothing to be terminated or nothing to be withdrawn.
That is correct, Mr. Speaker.
But actually, the announcement came from the South Korean president himself.
Exactly, Mr. Speaker. That's the reason why last week in New York, during the UN General Assembly, Foreign Minister Chu Yun met our Secretary Lazaro and in fact clarified and conveyed his regrets over the posts or the Facebook post posted and made by President of Korea Lee Jae.
So it was a clear case of error at the highest level.
That is
of
correct.
the South Korean government.
I would take that as the way to look at it, Mr. Speaker. Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you to the sponsor. On March 26, the DFA repatriated 176 Filipinos who had been trapped in illegal scam centers in Myanmar. May we know the status of these repatriated Filipinos? And has there been any assistance given by the DFA to these repatriated Filipinos and or their families?
Mr. Speaker, the Filipinos that were assisted by DFA, in particular Myanmar, is about 1,029 individuals, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Repatriated.
Yes, the DFA was able to send them home, back home.
The DFA mentioned that said repatriation is a one-country team approach. One-country team approach with the DND, PNP, and DMW. Now, how are resources being shared or coordinated across these agencies to ensure efficiency in rescue operations such as those, or repatriation operations such as those involving Filipinos from Myanmar?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, it's only so far as repatriation of Filipinos that are, trapped in the conflict areas. Just to cite Myanmar, Mr. Speaker, it's only the Department of Foreign Affairs that has, that assisted these repatriated Filipinos, Mr. Speaker. There's no other agencies, in particular DMW, as mentioned by the good lady.
So there is no,
There's
itong one country team approach.
That is correct. It's only the Department of Foreign Affairs that they're able to repatriate, send back home these Filipinos in this
Thank you,
area.
Mr. Speaker.
mentioned.
Thank you, distinguished sponsor. Under the MEP 2026, the budget for the protection of the rights and promotion of welfare of overseas Filipinos is 1,260,097,000. Now, with the growing number of human trafficking cases in Southeast Asia, how much of DFA's budget is earmarked for these specific activities on strengthening cooperation with foreign governments to dismantle these scam hubs and protect overseas Filipinos? Madami ho kasi lagi itong mga scam hubs na to. So, how much of the budget is being earmarked?
Mr. Speaker, may I confer with DFA first? May I ask the Secretary General to please stop the time of
Yes, please stop the
Congresswoman
clock.
Leila. Thank you. As I confer with DFA.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, we use generally the fund for the assistance to nationals, Mr. Speaker. We don't specifically earmark a specific line item for this budget. So it remains to be 1 billion pesos, Mr. Speaker. So insofar as human trafficking is concerned, in a particular area, we also coordinate with the local officials, security agencies in the particular area concerned, Mr. Speaker. So the budget really is used for human trafficking assistance for individuals against human trafficking, Mr. Speaker, is sourced out from the assistance to nationals, Mr. Speaker.
And I suppose the FA would always be coordinating with IACAT,
That is correct, Mr. Speaker.
although IACAT would focus on the domestic cases of human trafficking, but of course, even involving overseas Filipinos.
That is correct, Mr. Speaker. The effort of the DFA is as effective as the coordination of those local government agencies present in these specific areas mentioned.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, distinguished sponsor. The Philippines has formally submitted the instrument of ratification for the agreement under the UNCLOS on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction, or BBNJ agreement, also known as the High Seas Treaty. This treaty is a landmark instrument to combat biodiversity loss and the degradation of marine ecosystems. Question: how much is the allocated budget for the support of the Philippines' obligation under this High Seas Treaty? This is a landmark treaty.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, this is an interagency task force mechanism, which basically the DFA is just one part of the said interagency. So mostly the job that is being done, and so far as BNJJ is concerned, is tasked to the DNR, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Do we know the estimated cost for compliance with the monitoring, reporting, and enforcement requirements?
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, insofar as the implementation and the utilization of the funds, Mr. Speaker, this is a preparatory meeting that will be conducted this March, Mr. Speaker, in order to segregate portion of the job as well as the budget that will be allocated from each department. Mr. Speaker, since this is an interagency task force, interagency effort mechanism, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, distinguished sponsor. Let's talk about the welfare checks on Filipino detainees abroad. It has been reported that supposedly the DFA conducted the so-called welfare check or visit on the former president in accordance with the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations and Philippine laws, which mandate the protection of the welfare of all Filipino nationals abroad. I suppose this is a standard operating procedure that DFA would really undertake and conduct
Yes.
on any Filipino detainee abroad. Do we know how many have been conducted for last year and this year? And does this entail?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, based on the data here from DFA, the department is able to assist under the welfare assistance. That includes also, Mr. Chair, the welfare check. The number, the 106 Filipino nationals across the globe, Mr. Honor. 906 number of males and 623 females, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
And I suppose if we're secure the consent of the detainee.
Yes, because, yes, that's the standard procedure, Mr. Speaker, in the case of the former president, as mentioned too earlier by the good interpolator, the distinguished lady from ML Party List. It is actually the request. They cannot, our officials in The Hague, from our consulate there, Mr. Speaker, cannot just simply barge into the detention center without necessarily securing permit or the permission of the person that was detained and
of course, the
ICC and
approval
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
of the authorities of the detention facility.
That is correct, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor. But there's first a call this a official coordination of this entity of these entities that DFA will be able to visit, Mr. Speaker,
And how do
including the person named in this area.
And how do we actually conduct that welfare check? What are we
Yeah.
trying to find out?
There's
Welfare. Welfare is broad enough, but what exactly? The health condition? Physical, psychological, mental?
Well, what usually do is the usual protocol is we could conduct regular coordination with the agency concerned, for example, in the local agency concerned, and also upon the request, Mr. Speaker, of the person, the subject, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, and it's apparent and it's very Mr. Speaker, it's part of the mandate of the DFA to check the status of these detainees. For example, if the good lady is asking that particular subject matter, it is imperative, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, that the DFA needs to coordinate with the local authorities and the agencies in charge of specific individual in order to check the status of that particular person. Again, with the colatilla, Mr. Speaker, that particular individual would have to allow the visitation or the welfare check of officials from DFA.
In the case of the former president himself, he made the request himself, or somebody else made the request, or the DFA, motu proprio, conducted the welfare check and just obtained the consent of the former president. I just really want to know which is which. Did he make the request, or he just gave the consent to that welfare check?
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, it's motu proprio. As it appears, Mr. Speaker, the evidence does not present the opposite, Mr. Speaker. So we assume that the DFA made this visitation or welfare check, Mr. Speaker, by means of a motu proprio.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, distinguished sponsor. Now, on the calls for ceasefire and humanitarian aid in Gaza, of course, it has been reported that on the issue of ceasefire in Gaza, the Philippines has repeatedly voted in favor of the UN General Assembly resolutions calling for an immediate, permanent, and unconditional ceasefire in Gaza, and has expressed support for a two-state solution. So there's been several instances already about that. And during last week's UN 80th General Assembly in New York, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was being branded a war criminal by various world leaders in the International Criminal Court, which had put out a warrant for his arrest due to crimes against humanity and war crimes, addressed the Assembly. But reports, numerous countries or representatives of countries walked out during the speech of Prime Minister Netanyahu. Just to clarify, because I could not find any relevant news reports about it, did the representative of our country also walked out in that assembly last week? Because a great majority in the audience actually walked out.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, yes, the Secretary confirmed that we did join the walkout, Mr. Speaker, but we left three officials. Three officials? Three officials from the DFA, including the Secretary herself, joined the walkout, Mr. Speaker, but we retained one person just to listen to speech.
So there were actually three representatives in that.
That is correct, Mr. Speaker, including the Secretary herself.
And two of them joined the walkout, with one being left.
Yeah. I'm not good, so much good in math. So two walked out, three walked out, one retained. Okay, two left, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, and one remained.
So three were the representatives.
Yes, three representatives, and then two walked out, joined the walkout, and then one remained, just to listen to the speech, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, understood. Now, since the Philippines supported the UN resolution in Gaza and called for an end to the humanitarian crisis, how much in the budget proposed for next year for DFA will be contributed to the humanitarian aid efforts in Gaza? I understand that in January this year, the Philippines doubled its contributions to the UN Relief and Works Agency, recognizing its crucial role in providing life-saving assistance. Do we have the data? Do we have the figures for that?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, may I just request a few minutes to confer with you?
Please hold the clock.
Mr. Speaker, the Philippines has already extended $100,000 to the relief operation for Palestine. So the amount is 100,000. I believe that's last year. That was last year, Speaker. And this is in line with our consistent call for humanitarian aid and for the ceasefire. This is very much in compliance with our earlier position, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, since 1982 when we already recognized the state of Palestine and pushing for the two-state solution, Mrs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and distinguished sponsor. I suppose the DFA is aware of U.S. President Trump's proposed 21-point plan to supposedly end Israel's war on Gaza, anchored on a strategy of removing Hamas from Gaza, and for the U.S. to work with Arab countries and international partners to install, quote, a temporary international stabilization or stabilization force. In this plan, quote, Gaza will be administered by a temporary transitional government of Palestinians for providing day-to-day services for the people of Gaza. It will establish a framework for funding the redevelopment of Gaza until the Palestinian Authority has completed its reform program, end of quote. There will be no defined timeline for the Palestinian Authority to take over. Israel has been systematically trying to undermine the Palestinian Authority, which has limited control of parts of the occupied West Bank. And Israel has been consistent in saying that it would object to Palestinian Authority getting involved in Gaza. May we know the DFA's position on this proposed plan of the U.S. President?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, again, the position has been very, very consistent. We call for the humanitarian aid, the sustained humanitarian aid for those who have been victimized by this war in Gaza. And also, we also take cognizance of the expanding settlement program in the West Bank, as mentioned by the good lady from ANL Party List, Mr. Speaker. So the position, Mr. Speaker, of the Philippine government as of now is condemning the continuous genocide that is now being done right before our eyes. In fact, that is evident by the joining of the walkout of our Secretary of Foreign Affairs. Number two, Mr. Speaker, this is a continuing discussion which calls for the support of the international community, not only the United States, but the support of other countries who may deem appropriate for the Gaza people to receive a sustained assistance for humanity, because this is a humanitarian crisis, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, because this is indeed more than an issue of human rights, more than an issue, more than a humanitarian issue, because it goes into the very core of humanity.
So, just if I may add, Mr. Speaker, we consistently and persistently support any advocacies in any country all over the world to maintain and to impose maintain a stabilization plan in the conflict area between Gaza, between the Palestine and Israel, and our support for any resolution, Mr. Speaker, to advance the two-state solution as provided for in UN Resolution number 1871 in 1947, Mr. Speaker. So we support peace initiatives that may be catered by any country so far as the right of the Palestinians is respected, and as well as the right of the state of Israel will also continue to be recognized internationally. That is the official position of the government of the Philippines right now, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, honorable sponsor. I intend to file next week a proposed resolution to urge the executive branch, particularly the DFA, to take stronger and more proactive initiatives within ASEAN to address the worsening human rights and humanitarian crisis in Myanmar. Since the 2021 military coup in Myanmar, massive human rights violations have been reported, including killings, arbitrary arrests, torture, displacement of ethnic airstrikes. In 2023, the ASEAN, chaired by Indonesia, condemned those airstrikes carried out by the Myanmar armed forces that killed at least dozens of civilians. However, a statement from the ASEAN chair does not necessarily indicate the agreement of all member states, thus making it unclear whether all member states necessarily condemned the Myanmar air strikes. As of September 2025, over 22,000 political prisoners remain detained, with thousands killed or dead in custody. The ASEAN five-point consensus has failed to stop violence or restore democracy, with the junta ignoring its provisions. Malaysia, as ASEAN chair in 2025, engaged both the junta and opposition groups, including the National Unity Government and ethnic organizations, but no decisive results were achieved. The Philippines will assume ASEAN chairmanship in 2026, with the takeover this month in Kuala Lumpur, making it crucial for the Philippines to lead the ASEAN with a more principled and effective roadmap to address the Myanmar crisis. My proposed resolution will call on the executive branch of the DFA to, number one, denounce the junta's sham elections from December 2025 to January 2026 and engage with Myanmar's legitimate and democratically elected representatives from the 2020 elections. Two, formally engage with the National Unity Government, Federal Consultative Councils, and the Myanmar Civil Society. 3, reform humanitarian aid delivery, channeling assistance through broader networks and local CSOs instead of the junta. 4, support accountability efforts to hold junta leaders responsible for atrocities under international law. Questions? Dahil meron pa naman po akong 5 minutes left. Will the DFA agree with the propositions in my proposed resolution? Will the Philippines take a more proactive role as chair of ASEAN in 2026 to address the lingering political and human rights crisis in Myanmar?
First of all, on the first question, Mr. Speaker, any effort, Mr. Speaker, that would uphold and promote democracy all over the world, in any particular section in the world, and globally in the world, Mr. Speaker, the Philippines were ready to support any initiatives to uphold democracy, Mr. Speaker, in any parts of the world. Mr. Speaker, number 2, the Philippines does not recognize the military junta as the legitimate government of Myanmar, simply because of our democratic DNA, Mr. Speaker, and our democratic principles that any government should emanate from the people themselves. So, but Mr. Speaker, as mentioned by the good lady from ML Party List, yes, we will indeed chair the ASEAN in next year, Mr. Speaker. So we also would like to push as part of our priority agenda the 5-point consensus as agreed by the ASEAN member state, Mr. Speaker, insofar as Myanmar is concerned. Now, the 5-point consensus as are follows. If the good lady would allow me to enumerate these 5-point consensus points. First, there shall be immediate cessation of violence in Myanmar, and all parties shall exercise utmost restraint. Second, constructive dialogue among all parties concerned shall commence to seek a peaceful solution in the interests of the people. Third, a special envoy of the ASEAN chair shall facilitate mediation of the dialogue process with the assistance of the Secretary General of ASEAN. Fourth, ASEAN shall provide humanitarian assistance through the AHA Center. And fifth, the special envoy and delegation shall visit Myanmar to meet with all parties concerned. So yes, if Philippines will take over the chairship of ASEAN, Philippines will play a very important role in making sure the transition of power in Myanmar would resemble that of a democratic, principled country, Mr. Speaker. Your Honor.
This representation notes that, acknowledges that with great appreciation, especially, that is really a shift. Because as we very well know, under the Duterte administration, the Philippines voted against a 2017 UN General Assembly resolution condemning the human rights situation in Myanmar. I still have 3 minutes. Yung status po ng application natin for a non-permanent seat at the UN Security Council. In the committee deliberations for the DFA's budget, this representation asked about the DFA stance on the proposed resolution this representation filed, along with several colleagues, urging the DFA to introduce a resolution before the ONGA, calling on the People's Republic of China to respect the 2016 arbitral ruling and to cease its repeated hostile and aggressive acts against the Philippines in the West Philippine Sea. I recall that in response, in that committee deliberations, the DFA secretary stated that doing so may jeopardize our application for a seat at the UN Security Council, discounting the possible displeasure from China, but isn't supporting our proposed resolution a better campaign tactic to win more sympathetic votes for the US as we take on a global stage a bolder affirmation of our commitment to a rules-based international order?
Mr. Speaker, at this point, Mr. Speaker, DFA is not inclined to initiate an ONGA resolution. We are firmly focused on securing a non-permanent seat in the UN Security Council.
Yes, I understand the earnestness of our country through the DFA to secure a non-permanent seat. But I just cannot fully understand why it has to be a factor or reason why we cannot be pushing for that resolution that we filed to again file another arbitration case or a similar case before the appropriate UN tribunal, asking the People's Republic of China to cease or to stop its aggressive and illegal actions in the West Philippine Sea.
Mr. Speaker, yes, though we may not pursue, Mr. Speaker, this UN General Resolution, Mr. Speaker, it does not diminish our effort to verbally, to consistently air, Mr. Speaker, the articulating the position of the Philippines concerning the West Philippine Sea, including stressing, Mr. Speaker, the UNCLOS and the 2016 arbitral award, and that would remain still, but that will still remain as an option, Mr. Speaker. In many UN fora, Mr. Speaker, such as the UN General Assembly, where the Secretary spoke recently, Mr. Speaker, we have already ventilated in many conferences the position of the Philippines with regards to the West Philippine Sea. So though we did not and we will not pursue the UNGA resolution, it will not diminish the effort of the Philippines to ventilate internationally our concern in our ownership and right over the West Philippine Sea.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, distinguished sponsor. That's all, and my time is up. Maraming salamat, DFA.